I didn't go looking for the deep web. That's probably the first thing you need to understand about all of this. I wasn't some thrill seeker chasing red rooms or trying to prove something to strangers online. I had a normal job, a normal apartment, and a routine that didn't leave much room for curiosity. Wake up, work, eat, sleep, repeat. The kind of life where nothing really changes unless something forces it to. In my case, that something was a message. It showed up in my inbox at 2:13 in the morning. No subject line, no name, just a blank sender field and a single line of text inside. You left something behind. I almost deleted it. I should have. But there's a specific kind of unease that comes from being told something about yourself that you don't understand. It lingers. It scratches at the back of your mind. I checked the timestamp again, then the sender details. Nothing. No traceable address, no metadata I could make sense of. Just that one sentence sitting there, like it had been waiting for me. I replied, I don't know why. Maybe curiosity. Maybe boredom. Maybe the quiet hope that it was just a mistake and someone would respond with an apology. My message was simple. I think you have the wrong person. The response came almost instantly. No, I don't. That was when I should have stopped. That was the moment where a smarter version of me would have closed the laptop, gone to bed, and forgotten the whole thing by morning. But instead I felt something shift. Not fear. Not yet. Just a strange pull, like I'd already stepped into something without realizing it. What did I leave behind? I asked. There was a longer pause this time, long enough for me to start thinking it was over. Then another message appeared. A directory. I stared at that word longer than I want to admit. It didn't make sense. I hadn't downloaded anything unusual. I barely used my computer for more than streaming and work emails. Still, I checked. I opened my files, scanned through folders, looked for anything out of place. That's when I saw it. A folder on my desktop that I didn't remember creating. No name, just a blank space where the title should have been. My first thought was that it was some kind of glitch. My second thought was worse, that it hadn't been there before. I hovered over it for a few seconds, debating whether to open it or delete it. Before I could decide, another message came through. Don't move it. I froze. There's something deeply unsettling about being told not to do something you were just about to do, especially when no one should know what you're looking at. I slowly moved my hand away from the mouse, like that would somehow make a difference. What is this? I typed. You tell me. That answer didn't help. If anything, it made it worse. My chest felt tight, like the room had gotten smaller without me noticing. I looked back at the folder. It hadn't changed. Still blank. Still sitting there, like it had always belonged. Open it, the sender wrote. And I did. Inside were 5 files, each one labeled with a date. The first date was from 3 days ago. The second was from yesterday. The third was tomorrow. I remember laughing, not because it was funny, but because it was the only reaction that made sense at the time. It had to be a joke, some kind of delayed upload or corrupted timestamps. That happens, right? Systems mess up. Except the 4th file was dated next week, and the 5th didn't have a date at all, just a time, 2:13 a.m. I didn't click any of them right away. Instead, I went back to the messages. What is this supposed to be? I asked. There was a pause. Then, proof. Of what? That you shouldn't have come back. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. I never left, I typed. The reply came slower this time. Yes, you did. I didn't respond after that. I couldn't. My attention was back on the folder, on the files sitting there, like they were waiting for me to make a decision I didn't fully understand. I clicked the first one. It was a video. The footage was grainy, like it had been recorded on an old phone or a cheap security camera. At first I couldn't tell what I was looking at. Just a dark room, a single light source flickering somewhere off screen. Then the camera adjusted, and I saw the bed. I saw the desk. I saw the window. It was my apartment. I watched as the version of me in the video walked into frame, sat down at the desk, and opened my laptop. The timestamp in the corner matched the date on the file, 3 days ago. Everything lined up perfectly, except for one thing. In the video, I stopped typing. I turned my head slowly toward the camera, and I smiled. I don't remember doing that. I don't remember any of it. Behind me, in the video, something moved in the darkness near the door. The clip ended. I sat there for a long time after that, staring at the screen, trying to convince myself there was a reasonable explanation. Hidden cameras, someone messing with me, some elaborate prank that I just didn't understand yet. But deep down, there was a part of me that already knew, because the next file was labeled yesterday, and I was absolutely certain I didn't want to see what it contained. Still, my hand moved anyway. I clicked the second file before I could talk myself out of it. For a split second, nothing happened. Just a black screen and the faint hum of my laptop fan. Then the image flickered into place, sharper than the first video, like whoever recorded it had gotten closer this time. The angle was different too, lower, closer to the floor. It took me a moment to understand what I was looking at. The camera was inside my apartment again, but not out in the open. It was partially concealed, peeking out from beneath something, fabric maybe, or the edge of furniture. The frame was tilted, giving everything a skewed, off-balance look that made my stomach tighten before anything even happened. Then I saw my feet. I was standing in the kitchen. The timestamp matched yesterday evening, right around the time I remembered making dinner. In the video, I moved casually, like nothing was wrong, opening cabinets, grabbing a plate, going through motions I had repeated hundreds of times without thinking. Normal. That's what made it so much worse, because I didn't feel watched yesterday. I didn't feel anything. In the video, I turned slightly, and for a brief second, my face came into view. Same as always. Tired, distracted, completely unaware. And then something shifted in the foreground. A hand. It slid slowly into frame from the darkness near the camera. Pale, thin. The fingers bent at angles that didn't look entirely natural, like they were stiff or unused to moving. It pressed against the floor, dragging slightly, as if the person attached to it was pulling themselves forward, just enough to see. To watch. My breath caught in my throat. In the video, I didn't react. I just kept moving around the kitchen, completely oblivious, while someone, was only a few feet away, hidden just out of sight. The hand twitched once, then slowly withdrew back into the darkness. The rest of the video played out normally. I finished in the kitchen, turned off the light, and walked out of frame. The camera stayed where it was, staring at nothing, as the room went dark. Then the video ended. I slammed the laptop shut. The sound echoed louder than it should have in my apartment, like the walls were closer now, like everything had shifted just slightly out of place. I sat there, staring at the closed screen, trying to slow my breathing, trying to line up my thoughts into something that made sense. It didn't work. Because there was no version of this that made sense. Someone had been inside my apartment. Recently, close enough to touch me, and I hadn't noticed. My eyes drifted toward the kitchen without me meaning to. It looked the same as always. Quiet, still, nothing out of place. But now that I'd seen the video, I couldn't unsee it. Couldn't shake the feeling that there were spaces in my home I didn't fully understand anymore. Spaces someone else clearly did. My laptop chimed. I flinched. For a second I considered ignoring it, just leaving it there, unopened, like that might somehow stop whatever this was from continuing. But that same pull from earlier came back, stronger now. I opened the laptop again. Another message. You watched it. I didn't respond right away. My hands hovered over the keyboard, unsure whether engaging was making this worse, or if I was already too far in for it to matter. What do you want? I finally typed. The reply came slower this time. Correction. That word sat heavy on the screen. Correction of what? I asked. There was a longer pause. Long enough for me to start glancing around the apartment again, like I might catch something moving if I looked fast enough. Then, you're out of sequence. I frowned at that. What does that even mean? No response. Instead, another message appeared, separate from the thread. Watch the third file. My chest tightened. The third file. The one dated tomorrow. I'm not opening that, I typed quickly. This time the reply came immediately. You already did. I stared at the screen. No, I didn't. Yes. A chill ran through me. I looked back at the folder. All 5 files were still there, unchanged. But now I couldn't shake the feeling that something about them was different. Like I was seeing them from the wrong angle, or like they had been rearranged in a way my brain hadn't caught up with yet. I clicked on the third file before I could stop myself. The video started instantly. No flicker this time. No delay. The image was clear, bright. It was my apartment again. Morning light coming through the window. Everything looked normal. Too normal. The timestamp read, tomorrow at 9:42 a.m. In the video, I was sitting at my desk, exactly where I was now. Same clothes, same posture, same room. It was like looking into a slightly delayed mirror. Except for one thing. In the video, I wasn't alone. Something was standing behind me. At first, it was just a shape. Tall, thin, blurred slightly like the camera couldn't fully focus on it. But as the seconds passed, it became clearer. Not a person, not exactly. Its proportions were wrong. Arms too long, shoulders too narrow. Its head tilted at an angle that made my neck ache just looking at it. And it was watching me. Not the version of me in the video. Me. Here. Now. Slowly in the footage, my head began to turn. Just like in the first video. Just like before. But this time, I knew what was behind me. And I felt it. That same cold, creeping sensation from earlier. Like the air had thickened. Like something was standing just out of sight, waiting for me to notice. In the video, my mouth started to open. I whispered without meaning to, "Don't." But the version of me on screen didn't listen. He smiled. Wide. Wrong. And then the video cut to black. My room was silent. Completely silent. Too silent. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Because I knew with a certainty I couldn't explain, that if I turned around right now, I wouldn't be alone. I don't know how long I sat there without moving. Seconds maybe, or longer. Time felt stretched thin, like it had been pulled too tight, and might snap if I did something as simple as breathe too loudly. Every instinct I had was screaming at me to run, to get out, to put as much distance as possible between me and whatever this was. But I didn't. Because there's another instinct that doesn't get talked about as much. The one that tells you to stay still. That moving will make it worse. That acknowledging something is the same as inviting it closer. And I had already acknowledged too much. The room behind me felt occupied. Not in a loud, obvious way. No footsteps. No breathing. Nothing I could point to and say, "There, that's it." It was quieter than that. Heavier. Like the air itself had weight now, pressing gently against the back of my neck. I kept my eyes locked on the laptop screen, on the reflection. At first, all I saw was what I expected. The faint outline of my room behind me, distorted by the angle and the brightness. But the longer I stared, the more the image seemed to shift. Not physically. Nothing moved. But my perception of it changed. There was a darker patch in the reflection, right where something would be standing if it matched the video. My throat felt dry. "Don't do that," I whispered, though I wasn't sure who I was talking to. The laptop chimed again. The sound nearly made me jump out of my chair. Another message. You see it now. My fingers moved slowly, carefully, like sudden motion might trigger something. What is it? I typed. The response came after a few seconds. Residual. That didn't help. Residual of what? This time the pause stretched longer. Then, you. I felt my stomach drop. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have to. I clenched my jaw. Is someone in my apartment right now? The typing indicator appeared, stopped, appeared again. Then finally, you're asking the wrong question. A cold frustration started to replace the fear, just enough to make me push back. Then what's the right question? The reply came instantly. Why are you still there? That hit harder than I expected. Because I didn't have a good answer. I should have left, grabbed my keys, walked out, gone anywhere else. A friend's place, a hotel, even just my car. Anywhere but here. But I hadn't moved. And part of me knew why. Because leaving wouldn't fix it. Whatever this was, it wasn't tied to the apartment. The videos proved that. The way it knew what I would do before I did it. This wasn't about where I was. It was about me. I swallowed hard. What happens at 2:13? I typed. For the first time, there was a noticeable delay. Long enough that I thought maybe they weren't going to answer. Then, you complete the set. I stared at that. I don't understand. You will. Another pause. Then a second message appeared right after. You always do. My eyes flicked back to the folder. 5 files. I had watched 3. That left 1 dated next week. And the last one, 2:13 a.m. I checked the time on my computer. 1:48 a.m. My chest tightened. No, I muttered under my breath. No, no, no. This wasn't happening. I pushed my chair back slightly, the legs scraping softly against the floor. The sound felt too loud, like it didn't belong in the same space as everything else. Nothing reacted. The room stayed still. The reflection didn't change. That almost made it worse. I stood up slowly. Every movement felt deliberate, controlled, like I was trying not to disturb something I couldn't see. My eyes stayed on the laptop screen until the last possible second. Then I turned. The room was empty. Completely. No tall shape, no distorted figure, no impossible silhouette standing behind me. Just my apartment, exactly as had it always been. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. Okay, I said quietly. That's good. But it didn't feel good. Because the absence didn't feel like relief. It felt like timing. Like I had just missed it. My laptop chimed again. I didn't want to look. I looked anyway. Good, the message read. Now you're aligned. My pulse spiked. Aligned with what? No answer. Instead, another message came through. Stay awake. I shook my head. I'm leaving. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then, you've tried that before. A chill ran through me. What does that mean? No response. I grabbed my phone, my keys, anything within reach. My movements were faster now, less controlled. The need to get out was overriding everything else. I headed for the door. My hand wrapped around the handle. I hesitated, just for a second. Then I pulled it open. The hallway outside was empty. Quiet. Normal. I stepped out, closing the door behind me with a soft click. The moment it shut, something shifted. Not around me, but inside my head. A strange, fleeting sense that I had just made the wrong choice. I ignored it. I started walking. Fast at first, then faster, until it was just short of a run. The hallway seemed longer than usual. The lights slightly dimmer, the distance to the stairwell stretching just a bit more than it should have. Stop. My phone buzzed in my hand. I didn't. Stop. Another message. I kept going. I reached the stairwell door and shoved it open. The heavy door slammed shut behind me, the sound echoing down the concrete steps. For a moment, everything was still. Then my phone buzzed again. I looked. You're out of sequence again. My stomach dropped. No, I whispered. I'm not doing this. The lights in the stairwell flickered. Once, twice, then steadied. I turned toward the stairs and froze, because standing at the bottom of the stairwell, looking up at me, was the same tall, distorted shape from the video, waiting, like it had always been there. For a second, I convinced myself it wasn't real, that what I was seeing was just the afterimage of the video, burned into my vision from staring too long. My brain trying to make sense of something it couldn't process. That if I blinked, or looked away, or did anything at all to break the moment, it would disappear. So I blinked. Once. Slowly. Carefully. It didn't move. The shape stood at the base of the stairs, too tall for the space, its head slightly bent as if the ceiling didn't quite allow it to stand upright. Its arms hung at its sides, long enough that the fingers nearly brushed the concrete floor. It wasn't detailed, not in the way a person is. It was more like an absence, a distortion where something should be. But I could feel it, looking at me. Not in a vague, imagined way. In the same direct, unmistakable way you feel when someone is staring straight into your face. My phone buzzed again. I didn't take my eyes off the thing as I lifted it. "You made it worse." My throat tightened. "How?" I whispered. The response came slower now. Now it doesn't have to wait. A faint sound echoed in the stairwell, not from my phone, from below, a soft scraping noise. The thing moved, just slightly. One of its arms shifted, the long fingers dragging across the concrete with a dry, uneven sound that made my skin crawl. It didn't rush me, didn't lunge or sprint or do anything sudden. It just started walking, up the stairs. Slow, deliberate, like it knew I wasn't going anywhere. Every step it took felt wrong, like the motion didn't quite match the shape. The timing was off. It moved like something pretending to understand how movement worked. My body finally reacted. I turned and ran. Up the stairs instead of down, away from it. My footsteps slammed against the concrete, echoing loudly. But not as loudly as the ones behind me, because they didn't echo right. They overlapped. Too many impacts for the number of steps it should have been taking. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I could feel it getting closer. My phone buzzed again. Over and over now. But I ignored it. I focused on the stairs, on the door at the top, on anything that wasn't the thing chasing me. I hit the door hard, shoving it open and stumbling back into the hallway. The familiar space felt wrong now, stretched and quiet in a way it had never been before. I ran to my apartment. I don't know why. Or something worse. Because as soon as I reached the door, I realized it was already unlocked. I froze, just for a second. And that second almost cost me. The stairwell door behind me creaked open, slowly. I didn't think. I shoved my door open and threw myself inside, slamming it shut and locking it without even turning around. Silence. Complete, suffocating silence. I stood there, back pressed against the door, listening. Nothing. No footsteps, no scratching, no movement at all. My phone buzzed in my hand. I looked. You returned. My chest heaved. It followed me. I know. What is it? There was a pause. Then, it's what's left when you don't finish. My grip tightened around the phone. Finish what? No answer. Instead, check the last file. I shook my head immediately. No. Check it. I'm not opening that. The typing indicator appeared. Stayed. Then, it's already started. My heart dropped. I turned slowly toward my laptop. The screen was on. I hadn't left it on. The blank folder was open. And the fifth file, the one labeled 2:13 a.m., was playing. The video showed my apartment. Right now. The angle was different again. Higher this time. Like it was mounted in the corner of the ceiling. I could see myself standing by the door, phone in hand, exactly as I was. And behind me, the thing. Inside. Closer than before. In the video, It leaned down slowly, its head lowering toward my shoulder. I couldn't feel it, but I knew it was there. In the footage, my body went still. Not like before. Not gradual. Instant. Like something had switched me off. My phone slipped from my hand in the video. Hit the floor. The sound didn't happen in real life, only in the recording. Then, in the video, I moved. But not like me. My head tilted the same wrong way the things had. My shoulders shifted, posture bending into something unfamiliar. And then, I smiled. The same wide, unnatural smile from the first video, only worse, because this time, it stayed. The version of me in the video turned slowly toward the camera, toward whoever was watching, and spoke. The audio crackled, distorted, but I could still understand it. He's aligned now. My stomach dropped. The video ended. My apartment was silent again, but I wasn't alone anymore. I could feel it. Not behind me, not in front of me, but overlapping, like it wasn't standing near me anymore, like it was standing where I was. My phone buzzed one last time on the floor. I didn't pick it up. I didn't need to see the message, because I already knew what it would say. Changed. 2:13 a.m. And somewhere, on someone else's screen, a new file appeared.